Welcome back to Invest Insights Pro. Reading about risk changes nothing. It's like watching hours of batting videos and expecting to middle the ball in a real match. The magic happens in the nets, on your own numbers. Today, in one focused hour, a young engineer named Rohit turns everything he'd read into a simple written plan, and for the first time, his risk stops being a vague worry and becomes something he can actually see in control. Rohit is 29, a junior engineer from Nagpur, and he is well read. He can explain emergency funds, asset allocation, and risk tolerance to anyone. But here's the catch, he had never once applied any of it to his own money. He was the student who'd memorized the coaching manual but never faced a single ball in the nets. His knowledge was real, and completely untested against his actual life. And here is the quiet trap he'd fallen into. Because he understood risk so well, he felt safe. But understanding a seatbelt protects nobody until it's actually buckled. Knowing you need an emergency fund does nothing in a real emergency if the fund isn't there. Rohit's buffer wasn't funded, and his house deposit money was sitting in an equity fund, the exact risks his reading had warned him about, alive in his own account, unnoticed. InvestPRO steps in with a simple prescription: stop reading, start writing. One focused hour, 4 short exercises, the equivalent of a proper net session before the match. Size your emergency fund from real expenses. Sort every goal by its timeline. Find your single biggest position and right-size it. And write one plain rule for the next crash. Nothing clever. The whole value is in doing it, once, on your own numbers. Exercise 1. Fund the buffer. Rohit adds up his essential monthly costs, 35,000 rupees. 6 months of that is 2.1 lakh, his emergency fund target. And writing it down, he realizes with a jolt that he barely has any of it. That's the point of the exercise. The number was invisible until it was on paper. So he sets a standing monthly amount to fill it, his wickets in hand, finally being built. Exercises 2 and 3, still just pen on paper. He lists his goals and sorts them by timeline, and immediately spots that his house in 2 years, money is sitting in a volatile equity fund. Written down, it suddenly scares him, so it moves somewhere safe. Then he checks his biggest holding. One stock is 45% of everything, the whole innings on one player again, and he decides to trim it toward 10% over time. 2 silent risks, caught and made fixable, in 10 minutes. Your turn, the timeline drill. Money you need in 2 years and money you need in 15 years are sitting in the very same equity fund. What does the exercise tell you to do? Leave both, because equity grows faster? Sell everything, because markets feel risky? Or move the 2-year money to safety while the 15-year money stays invested to grow? Match each pot to its deadline. One more. You've learned the foundations and you feel you get it. So what's the difference between getting it and being protected by it? Is there none? Understanding equals safety? Does it only matter with lots of money? Or is the difference huge, because protection comes only from applying it to your own numbers, on paper? In a real crisis you don't rise to your knowledge, you fall back on whatever you actually set up. So pick the answer that does the setting up. Exercise 4, the crash rule, and the sentence that changed the most. Rohit writes one line: in a crash, I will not sell, I will keep investing my monthly amount. That's it. Nothing about his salary or his portfolio changed that night. But his relationship with risk did. He now had a plan instead of a vague hope. When the next market deep came, it felt like weather he'd dressed for, not an emergency that caught him bare. Now book your own hour, your net session. 1. Fund the buffer, 6 times your monthly essentials, and start topping it up. 2. Sort every goal by timeline and move soon money to safety, then trim any single bet toward 10%. 3. Write your crash rule in one plain sentence, decided now, in the calm. It is not complicated, and it is not glamorous. But this single written hour is the exact thing almost no beginner has, and almost every calm investor does. Here is the heart of the whole workshop. Understanding risk and being protected from it are two completely different things, and the gap between them is exactly where most financial trouble quietly lives. 3 rules to keep forever. 1. Understanding risk is not the same as being protected from it. 2. Protection lives in the doing, the buffer funded, the timelines sorted, the rule written. 3. One honest written hour beats years of passive reading. Build your own written plan, free, at app.investinsightspro.com. Your score is next.